The Tribunal, however, has emphasized that its principal role is to identify whether it is satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that crimes have been committed, rather than to identify with certainty any individuals who may have committed crimes, and having noted possible courses of action that the governments could take, the Tribunal leaves to citizens, activists, and motivated politicians the task of pressing governments to do what may be done, or what may be thought the duty of those governments to do in the face of any revealed wickedness of the kind shown in any finding that forced organ harvesting has happened or is continuing to happen in the PRC. The Tribunal notes with disappointment how both the United Kingdom and Australian governments have expressed no desire properly to test the allegations by themselves or through the United Nations. I refer to the response of the United Kingdom to this tribunal and to the Australian report of 2018. It might be expected that allegations such as these, as grave as any on a death-for-death basis that were proved in the worst political mass murders of the 20th century, might be thought worthy of the most urgent and potentially beneficial action that the world order would allow. Not to be expected, it seems, of the United Kingdom and Australia. As it happens, and as noted in the papers, the United States of America in 2016 took a very different line, close to the point of saying that these things definitely had happened. So far as governments are concerned, the Tribunal reverts to what it has said about the PRC's failure to engage with the allegations being made for such a long period of time. By their failures ever sufficiently to investigate the allegations as to find them proved, governments around the world have been able to justify doing little or nothing, and certainly not initiating one of the processes that could bring these allegations to formal judicial determination. And over this time, the PRC may have deserved better of itself than to let an existing practice continue and grow. Countries testing grave allegations and not letting the PRC escape oversight could have helped the PRC to understand that the practice in which it was engaged had to stop if it was to find a place in the world as something more than an enormously powerful commercial partner and competitor of other states, large and small. Tragically unchecked action allowed many people to die horribly and unnecessarily in the service of objectives that successors to the present PRC leaders may come to recognize were never essential to the well-being and growth in stature of their state. Finally, on actions to be taken, assuming governments do not do as it might be thought they should, the usually powerless citizen is, in the internet age, more powerful than she or he may recognize. Criminality of the kind revealed may allow individuals from around the world to act jointly in pressurizing governments, so that those governments and other international bodies are unable not to act. But the citizen as shopper should not be overlooked. Boycotting of goods started before the American Revolution by Americans in respect of English products, and has been an intermittent force ever since against such countries as Israel, America, and South Africa. The effect of boycotting is always uncertain and may be limited. But more, or perhaps most significant for these events, is that for much of its customer base, the PRC is a very long way away, and an individual citizen's conscience-driven response to knowledge of what her or his neighbor is doing may be in inverse proportion to how near that neighbor is. One final observation. As explained above, the Tribunal before, the Tribunal sees no need to make general recommendations because there are plenty of individuals, bodies and governments that should act given the conclusion that the Tribunal has reached. However, this much can be said, and it is again no pleasure for the Tribunal to be saying it, not least because it may be an observation long overdue from responsible governments. In the wonderful, diverse, cultured land of China, where today the PRC and the CCP may be involved in many more areas of life than is the case in some other countries, any who interact in any substantial way with the PRC, including doctors and medical institutions, industry and businesses, most specifically airlines, travel companies, financial services businesses, law firms, pharmaceutical insurance companies, together with individual tourists, educational establishments, and art establishments, should now recognize that they are, to the extent revealed in this judgment, interacting with a criminal state. We will rise.
Thank you, everyone. The proceeding is complete.